I pressed my ear against the cold stone wall of the Alpha King's private corridor, my heart threatening to burst from my chest. That moan, low, breathy, achingly familiar, couldn't be real. I'd buried Sarah 3 months ago. I'd watched her casket lowered into frozen ground. I'd felt our mate bond shatter like glass in my soul. So why did I smell her lavender scent seeping through the cracks of the Alpha King's door? My hand shook as I gripped the leather folder containing the territory reports. Just deliver the documents, I'd told myself. Simple. Routine. Get in, get out, go back to my empty cabin and another sleepless night. But then I'd heard it. Her. The sound came again, a soft gasp, muffled but unmistakable. My wolf surged forward, clawing at my insides. Mate. Our mate. No, I whispered. She's dead. She's gone. The folder slipped from my fingers, scattering papers across the stone floor. I didn't care. I moved closer to the door, my breath coming in short bursts. The wood was old oak, heavy and thick, but my wolf senses picked up everything. The rustle of fabric. A low masculine voice. And underneath it all, that scent, lavender and honey, the smell that used to cling to my sheets, my clothes, my skin. Sarah. My vision blurred. I reached for the door handle, then froze. Fresh scratches marred the wood around the frame, deep gouges like someone had clawed at it. My stomach turned. I knew those marks. I'd seen them before, on our bedroom door the night Sarah had one of her nightmares. Cade. The Alpha King's voice cut through the haze. I spun around. Marcus stood at the end of the corridor, his massive frame blocking the dim light from the main hall. He wore only pants, his chest bare, his dark hair disheveled. My eyes went to the scratches on his shoulder, 4 parallel lines, angry and red. What are you doing here? His tone was flat, dangerous. I grabbed the scattered papers with trembling hands. Bringing the territory reports. You said you needed them tonight. So you decided to listen at my door? I wasn't, the words stuck in my throat. What could I say? That I'd heard my dead mate's voice? That I was losing my mind? Marcus moved closer. Too close. His eyes shifted to amber, his wolf rising to the surface. You look unwell, Beta. Perhaps you should take some time off. Rest. Grieve properly. I'm fine. I shoved the papers at him. Here are your reports. He didn't take them. Instead, he leaned in, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper. Grief can make us see things that aren't there. Hear things. Smell things. It's a dangerous state of mind, especially for a wolf. You wouldn't want to say or do something you'd regret. It wasn't a suggestion. It was a threat. Of course, Alpha King. The title tasted like ash. Good. He finally took the folder. Now leave. And Cade? Don't come back to this wing unless you're summoned. He disappeared into his chambers, the door clicking shut with finality. But not before I caught it again, that scent, stronger now, wrapping around my throat like a noose. I stood there, frozen, my wolf howling inside my skull. Every instinct screamed at me to break down that door, to find her, to know. But my training, my years of loyalty, my position as Beta, they all held me in place like chains. Finally, I turned and walked away. Each step felt like betrayal. The cabin was dark when I got home. I didn't bother with lights. I went straight for the bottle of whiskey I kept in the kitchen and poured 3 fingers, then 4. The alcohol burned but did nothing to quiet my thoughts. I'd met Sarah 4 years ago at a pack gathering. She was new to Silver Ridge, a transfer from a smaller pack out west. Omega wolves were rare, precious. When our eyes met across the bonfire, the mate bond had snapped into place so hard I could barely breathe. She'd been shy at first, nervous around the bigger pack. But when she smiled at me, really smiled, it was like the sun coming out after winter. We were married within 3 months. I slammed the glass down on the counter. That life felt like a dream now. The real nightmare had started about 6 months ago. Sarah had changed. She'd stopped going to pack gatherings. She'd flinch when I touched her. She'd wake up screaming from nightmares she refused to talk about. What's wrong? I'd asked her 100 times. Tell me. Let me help you. But she'd just shake her head, tears streaming down her face. I can't. Please, Cade. Don't ask me. The last time I saw her alive, she'd held my face in her hands. I love you, she'd said. No matter what happens, remember that. I love you. The next morning, they found her body in the eastern woods. Torn apart. The pack tracker said it was a rogue attack, that she'd been out running alone. It didn't make sense. Sarah never ran alone, especially not in rogue territory, but I was too destroyed to question it. The Alpha King had personally overseen her funeral. He'd stood beside me at the grave, his hand on my shoulder. She was a light in our pack, he'd said. We'll honor her memory. I poured another drink. The scratches on his shoulder. The ones on the door frame. They matched. No. I said it out loud this time. You're losing it. Grief is making you crazy, just like he said. But my wolf didn't believe that. My wolf knew what it had heard, what it had smelled. I grabbed my phone and pulled up the photos. I kept them even though it hurt to look. Sarah laughing at our mating ceremony. Sarah curled up on the couch with a book. Sarah in the garden she'd planted behind our cabin, dirt on her nose and flowers in her hair. In the last few photos, her smile didn't reach her eyes. She looked thin, haunted. How had I not seen it? How had I not pushed harder? A knock on the door made me jump. I checked the time, past midnight. Nobody came by this late. I opened the door to find Elena, the pack healer, standing on my porch. She looked worried. Cade. Can I come in? It's late. I know. But I need to talk to you. She glanced over her shoulder. Privately. I stepped aside. She came in quickly, shutting the door behind her. In the dim kitchen light, I could see the tension in her shoulders. What's this about? Elena twisted her hands together. I heard you went to the Alpha King's chambers tonight. Heard there was an incident. News traveled fast in a pack. It was nothing. A misunderstanding. Was it? She met my eyes. Cade, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. Did you smell anything strange? Hear anything? My heart started pounding again. Why are you asking? Because I'm not the only one who's noticed things. The Alpha King has been different since Sarah died. Secretive. He's dismissed 3 Omegas from house service in the past month. And there have been sounds. At night. From his chambers. You think I'm crazy too? I turned away from her. Everyone thinks I'm losing my mind. I don't think you're crazy. Her voice was quiet but firm. I think you might be the only one brave enough to question what's really happening. I faced her again. What are you saying? Elena pulled something from her pocket, a small vial of dark liquid. This is Sarah's blood. From her autopsy. I kept a sample because something didn't sit right with me about her death. Elena. There were no rogue teeth marks, Cade. The wounds were wrong. Made to look like an attack, but... She set the vial on my counter. I couldn't say anything. The Alpha King ordered me to sign off on the report. I was afraid. The room spun. Are you telling me she was murdered? I'm telling you I don't think she's dead. The words hung in the air between us like smoke. That's impossible. I felt the bond break. I felt it. What if you only felt it go dormant? Elena stepped closer. There are old magics, Cade. Dark things. Ways to hide a mate bond, to make it seem severed when it's not. Why? Why would anyone do that? She didn't answer right away. When she did, her voice was barely a whisper. Because maybe someone wanted her for themselves. The Alpha King's face flashed in my mind. His threats. His scratches. His dismissal. His door, marked with Sarah's desperate claws. I have to get her out. The words came out raw, determined. If you're wrong, if you confront him based on grief and suspicion, he'll kill you. Alpha Kings don't tolerate challenges. And if I'm right? Elena's eyes filled with tears. Then she's been suffering for 3 months, and we're all complicit in her hell. She left after that, slipping out as quietly as she'd come. I stood in my kitchen, the vial of Sarah's blood glinting in the dim light, and made my decision. Tomorrow night, I would find the truth. Even if it destroyed me. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 2. The cemetery looked different at midnight. Shadows stretched between the headstones like grasping fingers, and the wind carried voices, or maybe just memories. I'd been coming here every night since Elena left my cabin, standing at Sarah's grave until the cold seeped into my bones and forced me home. Tonight was different. Tonight I was looking for proof. The grave sat beneath an old oak tree at the eastern edge of the cemetery, away from the pack's founding families. I'd chosen this spot because Sarah loved trees, loved the way sunlight filtered through leaves. Now the branches looked skeletal against the moon. I knelt in the damp grass, my wolf vision cutting through the darkness. The headstone was simple, Sarah Blackwood. Beloved mate. Gone too soon. Words that meant nothing and everything. Fresh flowers lay against the marble. White roses, expensive ones, their petals still closed tight. Not the wildflowers I'd brought 3 days ago, those were gone, replaced. My hands clenched. I'd been coming here weekly, sometimes twice a week, and there were always fresh flowers. I'd assumed other pack members were leaving them, people who'd cared about Sarah. But now, looking at these perfect roses, I knew better. Someone was maintaining this grave. Someone who wanted it to look tended, loved, legitimate. I pulled out my phone and took photos. Then I examined the ground around the headstone. The grass was disturbed near the base, like someone had knelt here recently. I found a boot print in the soft earth, large, size 13 at least. My size was 11. The Alpha King was a big man. I sat back on my heels, my mind racing. Why would he visit her grave? Guilt? Or something else entirely? A sound made me freeze. Footsteps, crunching on the gravel path. I shifted behind the oak tree, my wolf instincts taking over. Through the darkness, I watched a figure approach. Female, slight build, moving carefully between the graves. She stopped at a headstone 4 rows from Sarah's. Even in the dim light, I recognized her, Maya Chen, Sarah's closest friend. She placed a single candle on the grave, lit it, and stood with her head bowed. I waited until she finished her prayer, then stepped out. Maya. She gasped and spun around, her hand flying to her chest. Jesus, Cade. You scared me half to death. Sorry. I didn't mean to. I moved closer. Whose grave is that? Her face shuddered. My grandmother's. She died last year. I didn't know. I'm sorry. It's fine. She turned to leave. I should go. It's late. Maya, wait. I caught her arm gently. She flinched like I'd burned her. I need to talk to you about Sarah. There's nothing to talk about. Her voice cracked. She's gone. Is she? Maya went completely still. In the candlelight, I could see tears streaming down her face. Let me go, Cade. Please. You know something. You've been avoiding me for months. Every time I see you at pack gatherings, you leave. You won't return my calls. We used to be friends, Maya. You were Sarah's best friend. And now you can't even look at me. Because it hurts. She jerked away from me. Because every time I see you, I remember her, and I can't. She pressed her hands to her mouth, muffling a sob. I softened my voice. Then help me understand. Help me make sense of what happened to her. Please. For a long moment, she just cried. Then, so quietly I almost missed it, she whispered, she was chosen, Cade. My blood went cold. What does that mean? Maya looked around frantically, like the shadows themselves might be listening. We can't talk here. It's not safe. Then where? She hesitated, then grabbed my hand. The old mill. 20 minutes. Come alone and make sure no one follows you. Before I could respond, she was gone, disappearing between the headstones like a ghost. The old mill sat on the edge of pack territory, abandoned for decades after a fire gutted the interior. The building was a skeleton of charred beams and crumbling brick, surrounded by overgrown weeds. I used to come here as a teenager to drink stolen beer and howl at the moon. Now it just looked haunted. I parked my truck a quarter-mile away and approached on foot, checking constantly for tails. The pack had eyes everywhere, guards, scouts, loyal members who reported anything unusual directly to the Alpha King. If I was being watched, this would be the end of everything. Maya was already inside, pacing near a broken window. She'd changed into dark clothes and tied her hair back. When she saw me, she motioned frantically. Did anyone follow you? No. I was careful. Careful might not be enough. She wrung her hands. God, I can't believe I'm doing this. If he finds out. Maya. I gripped her shoulders. Tell me about Sarah. Tell me what chosen means. She took a shaky breath. The Alpha King, he has a preference. For Omegas. Young ones, bonded ones especially. Every few years, he selects one. It's supposed to be an honor, to serve in his household, to be close to pack leadership. But it's not an honor, Cade. It's a sentence. My wolf snarled inside me. What does he do to them? I don't know all of it. Nobody does. The Omegas who are chosen disappear from regular pack life. They're kept in the private wing of his estate. The few who've been released, and there aren't many, they don't talk about it. They can't. They're bound by something, some kind of magic or compulsion. They just exist afterward. Hollow. And Sarah was chosen. Maya nodded, tears flowing freely now. 6 months before she died. He summoned her to his office. When she came back, she was different. Terrified. She told me he'd given her a choice, serve him willingly, or you would have an accident. A fatal one. The words hit me like a physical blow. I staggered back against the wall. She did it to protect me. She loved you so much, Cade. She thought if she cooperated, if she did everything he asked, he'd eventually let her go. But it got worse. He was obsessed with her. Possessive. She tried to resist at first, tried to find a way out, but... The nightmares, I interrupted. The fear. She was living with this for months, and I didn't even know. She couldn't tell you. He forbade it. And she was afraid if you found out, you'd confront him and he'd kill you. Maya grabbed my hands. That's why she stayed quiet. That's why she endured it. I felt like I was drowning. Her death. The rogue attack. That was staged. I think so. I don't have proof, but yes. I think when she tried to escape, when she finally couldn't take it anymore, she couldn't finish the sentence. He made it look like she died so no one would look for her. Maya's face crumpled. I'm so sorry. I should have told you sooner. I should have done something. But I was scared. I'm still scared. The Alpha King, he's not just powerful, Cade. He's connected. The Pack Council, the guards, even some of the elders, they either don't know or don't care. And the ones who do know are too afraid to act. How many? My voice came out like gravel. How many Omegas has he done this to? I don't know exact numbers. But I've heard rumors. 5, maybe 6 over the past 15 years. Some were released after a year or two. Others just disappeared completely. There's a name for them in the Omega community. The Chosen. We whisper about them. We pray we're never next. I paced the floor, my mind working through the implications. Elena had said something about a breeding program. Pure-blooded heirs. Has the Alpha King had children? With these Omegas? Maya's expression turned darker. That's the worst part. I've heard stories, just rumors, understand, about a facility. Somewhere on Pack lands, hidden. Where the Omegas are kept after they're chosen. Where they're. She swallowed hard. Where they're bred. Like livestock. To create pure alpha bloodlines. My wolf exploded inside me, rage so hot I saw red. I punched the wall, my fist going through rotten wood. I'm going to kill him. No. Maya grabbed my arm. That's exactly what you can't do. He's the Alpha King, Cade. You challenge him, you die. And not just you, anyone associated with you. Anyone who might have helped you figure this out. She gestured to herself. Like me. So what? I do nothing. I let Sarah suffer while I pretend everything's fine. I'm saying you need proof. Real proof. And you need allies. People with power who can stand against him. She pulled a small flash drive from her pocket. I've been collecting information. Carefully. Over months. Names of missing Omegas, dates they disappeared, inconsistencies in pack records. It's not much, but it's a start. I took the flash drive like it was made of gold. Why are you helping me? You said yourself it's dangerous. Because Sarah was my friend. Because I'm terrified I might be next. And because someone has to stop him. She moved toward the door, then paused. There's something else. The pack records room. Sarah's death certificate is there, but if you look closely at the filing, something's off. The signatures don't match the official seals. I think someone forged documents to cover up what really happened. The Alpha King's personal physician signed her death certificate. Maya nodded. Dr. Callahan. He's been with the Alpha King for 20 years. Completely loyal. If anyone knows where the Omegas are kept, it's him. Before I could ask more, we both heard it, the sound of vehicles approaching. Multiple trucks, moving fast. Maya's face went white. No. No, no, no. Go out the back. I pushed her toward the rear of the building. Run. Get to your car and go home. Act normal. Cade. Go. She ran. I heard her footsteps fade, then the sound of her crashing through underbrush. I turned back to the front entrance, weighing my options. I could run too, but they'd know someone was here. Better to face it head-on, claim I was here investigating strange scents or checking territory boundaries. The truck screeched to a halt outside. Doors slammed. Then the Alpha King's voice, cold and commanding, searched the building. Someone's been meeting here. Guards poured through the entrance, 6 of them, all armed with silver-laced blades. They spread out efficiently, professionals trained to hunt. I stepped forward before they could find me hiding. Alpha King. I kept my voice neutral. I didn't expect to see you here. Marcus stood in the doorway, backlit by his truck's headlights. He looked like a dark god, powerful and pitiless. Beta Cade. How convenient. What brings you to this abandoned mill at 2 in the morning? I was investigating reports of rogue scents near the eastern border. The trail led here. Interesting. He stepped inside, his guards flanking him. Because I received word that someone was asking dangerous questions. Making accusations against pack leadership. Conspiring with others to spread lies and discord. My heart hammered, but I kept my expression calm. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't you? He moved closer, his eyes shifting to Alpha Gold. You've been unstable since your mate's death, Cade. Grief-stricken. Paranoid. Seeing things that aren't there. Perhaps you need to be relieved of your duties. For your own safety. It wasn't a suggestion. It was a threat wrapped in concern. I'm fine, Alpha King. I've been performing my duties. Your duties. He cut me off. Yes. Let's discuss those. You delivered reports to my chambers several nights ago. You were found lurking outside my door. You've been visiting your mate's grave at odd hours. And now you're here, in an abandoned building, claiming to track rogues that no one else has reported. He knew. He knew I was investigating. I'm doing my job. No. His voice dropped to a growl. You're grieving. And in your grief, you're creating fantasies. Conspiracy theories. It's understandable, but it's also dangerous. Dangerous to yourself and to pack stability. One of the guards moved behind me. I was surrounded. Marcus tilted his head, studying me like I was an insect. I'm going to do you a kindness, Beta Cade. I'm going to give you a choice. Take a leave of absence. Go visit family in another pack. Clear your head. Return when you're thinking straight. Or. He let the word hang. Or I'll have you confined to your cabin under guard, for your own protection. Which will it be? Every instinct screamed at me to fight, to challenge him right here. But Maya's words echoed in my head, you challenge him, you die. And not just you, anyone associated with you. I lowered my eyes in submission. A leave of absence sounds wise, Alpha King. Thank you for your concern. Excellent. But his smile didn't reach his eyes. You'll leave tomorrow. I'll have travel papers prepared. 2 weeks should be sufficient. He turned to his guards. Escort Beta Cade to his cabin. Make sure he arrives safely. Translation, make sure he doesn't go anywhere else tonight. As the guards surrounded me, Marcus leaned in close. Your mate died a hero, Cade. She died protecting our territory from rogues. That's the truth. That's what you'll remember. Anything else is the fantasy of a broken mind. Do you understand? I met his eyes. For just a second, I let him see my rage, my knowledge, my promise. I understand perfectly, Alpha King. His jaw tightened. Good. Let him know I wasn't broken yet. The guards marched me out to their truck. As we drove away, I looked back at the mill. In the darkness near the tree line, I thought I saw Maya watching. Then she was gone. Back at my cabin, the guards stationed themselves outside. For your protection, their lieutenant said. House arrest disguised as care. I didn't sleep. Instead, I sat at my desk with Maya's flash drive, downloading every file onto my encrypted laptop. Names, dates, witness statements from Omegas too afraid to go on record. Photos of documents with suspicious signatures. A map of pack lands with a section marked in red, labeled only as Restricted Zone, Alpha King's authorization required. That's where they were. That's where Sarah was. As dawn broke, I heard a commotion outside. Shouting. My blood went cold when I recognized the screams. Maya. I ran to the window. The Alpha King's black SUV sat in my driveway. Guards were dragging Maya toward it, her feet kicking, her voice raw with terror. Cade. Cade, help me. Please. He knows. He knows everything. I started for the door, but the guards burst in, silver blades drawn. Stay inside, Beta. Alpha King's orders. What are you doing with her? Omega Chen has been summoned by the Alpha King. Pack business. Doesn't concern you. The hell it doesn't. A blade pressed against my throat. Stand down. Now. I watched helplessly as they shoved Maya into the SUV. Her eyes found mine through the window, wide with fear and acceptance. She mouthed 2 words, save her. Then they were gone, taillights disappearing down the road. I stood in my doorway, the guards watching me like hawks, and felt the last of my restraint crumble. The Alpha King had just made his biggest mistake. He'd shown me exactly how far he'd go to protect his secrets. And he'd given me all the motivation I needed to burn his world down. I had 2 weeks before my forced leave began. 2 weeks to find that restricted zone. 2 weeks to find Sarah and expose the truth. The Alpha King thought he'd neutralized me. He thought grief had made me weak, that fear would make me compliant. He'd forgotten one crucial thing about wolves: we're most dangerous when we're protecting our mates. And mine was still alive. I turned back into my cabin and began to plan. Not as a loyal Beta anymore. But as something much more dangerous, a mate with nothing left to lose. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 3. The guards rotated shifts every 6 hours. I'd been watching them for 2 days, memorizing patterns, noting weaknesses. They were good, trained enforcers loyal to the Alpha King, but they were also bored. Guarding a grieving Beta wasn't exactly thrilling work. On the 3rd night, I made my move. I waited until the midnight shift change, that crucial 15-minute window when the old guards were tired and the new ones weren't fully alert. Then I shifted, let my wolf take over, and crashed through my bedroom window. The guards shouted behind me, but I was already gone, running flat out through the forest. Silver bullets whizzed past my ears. They were shooting to wound, not kill, which meant the Alpha King wanted me alive. That gave me an edge. I ran for 3 hours straight, pushing my wolf past exhaustion, taking old game trails and creek beds that would mask my scent. By the time I stopped, I was 15 miles beyond pack territory, deep in the wilderness that separated Silver Ridge from the lawless lands. The Deadlands, we called it. Where rogues and outcasts lived outside pack law. Where I'd find the only wolves crazy enough to help me. The outcast camp wasn't on any map. You had to know where to look, and even then, you had to survive the approach. I'd barely made it a quarter mile into their territory before I was surrounded. 5 wolves melted out of the shadows, all battle-scarred and hungry-looking. The largest, a gray male with a torn ear, shifted to human form. He was naked, unconcerned, his body a roadmap of old violence. You're on outcast land, pack wolf. That's either very stupid or very desperate. I shifted back to human, keeping my hands visible. I need to speak with Thorn. The rogues exchanged glances. Torn Ear laughed. Everyone wants to speak with Thorn. Usually right before we kill them. What makes you special? Tell her Cade Blackwood needs her help. Tell her it's about the Alpha King's Omegas. That got their attention. Torn Ear's expression hardened. How do you know about that? Because my mate is one of them. And I'm going to get her back, with or without your help. But with would be smarter. Another rogue, a wiry female with burn scars across her back, stepped forward. Boss is gonna want to hear this. But if you're lying, if this is some kind of trap, then you can feed me to the crows. I don't care. Just take me to Thorn. They debated in low growls, then Torn Ear nodded. Blindfold him. The boss doesn't like strangers knowing the way in. They tied a cloth around my eyes and led me deeper into their territory. I counted steps, tried to memorize turns, but they were clever, doubling back, walking me in circles. By the time they removed the blindfold, I had no idea where we were. The camp spread across a hidden valley, sheltered by cliffs on 3 sides. Makeshift shelters dotted the landscape. Some were tents, others were lean-tos or caves. Rogues moved between them like shadows, watching me with hostile eyes. I counted at least 40, maybe 50. Enough to cause serious problems for a pack if they organized. At the valley's center stood a large tent made from stitched hides. 2 guards flanked the entrance, both carrying weapons I recognized from old wars, silver-laced spears that could kill with a single wound. Torn Ear pushed me forward. On your knees before you enter. Show respect or lose your throat. I knelt. The tent flap opened, and a voice called out, "Send him in." The voice was female, rough like gravel, with an accent I couldn't place. I crawled through the entrance and found myself in a space lit by oil lanterns. Furs covered the floor, and maps covered every available surface, territorial maps, pack structures, guard rotations. This wasn't just a rogue hideout. This was a war room. Stand up, pack wolf. I don't bite without invitation. She sat in a chair made from antlers and wood, and when I saw her face, I understood why they called her Thorn. 3 parallel scars ran from her right temple to her jaw, deep and deliberate. Her left eye was clouded white, blind. But her right eye, gray-green, sharp as broken glass, saw everything. She was maybe 40, lean and hard like forged steel. Power radiated from her, the unmistakable presence of an alpha. But there was something else, something that made my wolf whine in confusion. She smelled like an omega. "You're staring," she said. "First time seeing a wolf like me?" "I don't understand." "You're both. Alpha and omega?" "Yes." "Rare, isn't it?" "Some call it a gift. I call it a curse." She stood, and I realized she was tall, nearly 6 feet, built like a warrior. "You're Cade Blackwood. Beta of Silver Ridge. Mate to Sarah Blackwood, deceased 3 months ago." "Except she's not deceased, is she?" "How do you know that?" "Because I know what the Alpha King does to Omegas. I know because I survived it." She moved closer, studying me with that sharp eye. "And I know because Sarah Blackwood is my sister." The world tilted. "What?" "Sit down before you fall down." She gestured to a stool. "This story takes time." I sat, my mind racing. Sarah had never mentioned a sister. She'd said her family was dead, killed in a rogue attack when she was young. Thorn poured 2 glasses of something dark and bitter-smelling. She handed me one. "Drink. You'll need it." I drank. It burned like fire but cleared my head. "My birth name was Thea Blackwood," she began. 22 years ago, I was a young Omega in the Silver Ridge Pack. Beautiful, they said. Gentle. Everything an Omega should be. And then the Alpha King, not Marcus, but his father, Victor, chose me for his household." She took a long drink. "I was 16. I thought it was an honor. My parents were so proud." My stomach turned. "The breeding program. It's been going on for generations. Since the pack's founding. The Alpha Kings have been obsessed with pure bloodlines, with creating the perfect alpha heir. They discovered that Omegas, especially young, bonded Omegas, produce the strongest offspring. So they take them. They keep them in chambers beneath the estate. They use dark magic to suppress mate bonds, to make the Omegas compliant, to make them forget their old lives. And you were one of them. For 3 years. I bore 2 children to Victor. Both sons. Both taken from me the moment they were born." Her voice cracked, just slightly. "The magic they used, blood magic, ancient and forbidden, it was supposed to make me docile. Make me forget. But something went wrong. My alpha nature fought back. The 2 sides of me, Omega and Alpha, they went to war inside my own body. She turned, showing me her back. Scars covered her skin, dozens of them, layered like scales. This is what happens when suppression magic fails. It tears you apart from the inside out. The pack physician said I was dying. Victor ordered me killed before I could become a liability. But you escaped. I killed 3 guards and ran. Made it to the Deadlands more dead than alive. Other rogues found me, patched me up. When I recovered, I swore I'd return someday. That I'd free the Omegas and burn Victor's empire to ash. She met my eyes. Victor died 5 years ago. His son, Marcus, took over. I'd hoped he'd be different. He's worse. I leaned forward. Sarah never mentioned you. She said her family died. Because she doesn't remember me. She was 3 when I was taken. Our parents told her I'd died, probably to protect her. And then. Thorne's jaw tightened. Then they died for real. Rogue attack, the official report said. But I've always wondered if Victor had them killed because they knew too much. Jesus. Sarah was raised by distant relatives after that. I kept track of her from afar, but I could never contact her. I was dead, officially. An outcast. If I'd reached out, I'd have put her in danger. She sat back down heavily. And then I heard she'd mated. A beta named Cade Blackwood. I was happy for her. Thought she'd escaped the curse of our bloodline. Until Marcus chose her. Thorne poured herself another drink. I have spies in Silver Ridge. They reported that Sarah had been summoned to the Alpha King's household. Then, 3 months ago, news of her death. But there was no body displayed, no public mourning beyond the funeral. I knew what that meant. She's in the chambers. Alive. Yes. And the clock is ticking. Thorne pulled out a worn journal and opened it to a page covered in notes and diagrams. The suppression magic they use, it's not permanent. It has to be refreshed every full moon with a blood ritual. But it's also toxic. It poisons the Omega slowly, fighting against their true nature. Most last 2, maybe 3 years before their bodies give out. My blood ran cold. Sarah's been there 3 months. Which means she has maybe 18 months left. Maybe less, depending on how aggressively they're using the magic. Thorne studied me. Your mate bond, you felt it break, didn't you? That's part of the ritual. They stage a death, perform the initial suppression, and sever the connection so the true mate can't track them. But the bond isn't destroyed, just dormant. Buried so deep it might as well be dead. Can it be restored? If the magic is broken, yes. The bond would snap back into place. But breaking the magic requires killing the caster or destroying the ritual objects they used to create it. And those are kept in the Alpha King's personal vault, under heavy guard. I stood, pacing the tent. You said you'd help me infiltrate during the Blood Moon Festival. Why? What's in it for you? Thorne smiled, and it was sharp as a knife. Revolution, Pack Wolf. I've been gathering outcasts for 20 years. Building an army. Waiting for the right moment to strike. The Blood Moon Festival is that moment, 3 days when the pack is distracted, security is focused on celebrations, and the Alpha King is vulnerable. You want to overthrow him. I want to tear down the entire corrupt system. Free the Omegas. Expose the breeding program. Put Marcus and everyone who enabled him on trial. Her eye glittered. And yes, if justice requires his death, so be it. I don't care about revolution. I just want Sarah back. And you'll have her. I'm offering you a deal. Help me get into the estate during the festival. Help me free all the Omegas, not just Sarah. In return, I'll give you the resources and intelligence you need to save your mate. She extended her hand. Do we have an agreement? I looked at her scarred hand, thought about Maya being dragged away screaming, thought about Sarah suffering in darkness while I'd mourned at an empty grave. Yes. We have an agreement. We shook. Her grip was iron. Good. Then let's begin your education. She spread out a map of the Silver Ridge estate. The chambers are here, beneath the east wing. 3 levels deep, accessible only through the Alpha King's private quarters or through a service entrance in the old wine cellar. The service entrance is our best bet. It's guarded, but less heavily than the main access point. She pointed to another section. During the Blood Moon Festival, Marcus hosts a grand feast. All pack leadership attends. Security will be tight, but it will also be spread thin. That's our window. While everyone's distracted by celebrations, we go underground. How many Omegas are down there? Current count is 7. Including Sarah. Thorne's expression darkened. But there's something you need to understand. These Omegas won't remember their old lives. The magic strips memories, rewrites their sense of self. To them, they've always belonged to the Alpha King. They serve willingly because they don't remember any other existence. So Sarah won't know me. No. She'll see you as a stranger. Possibly a threat. The magic makes them loyal to their captor, it's part of the conditioning. She met my eyes. You need to be prepared for that. Prepared for her to fight you when you try to rescue her. The thought nearly broke me. There has to be a way to break the magic quickly. To make her remember. There is. The ritual objects I mentioned, they're personal items tied to each Omega. A lock of hair, a belonging, something soaked in their essence. Destroy the object, the magic breaks. She traced a line on the map to a fortified room. They're kept here. The vault. Marcus checks it daily, paranoid about security. Getting in will be nearly impossible. Nearly. Not completely. Thorne grinned. I like you, Pack Wolf. You've got steel. She whistled sharply. A rogue entered, young, maybe 20, with quick eyes. This is Rook. He's our inside man. Works in the estate's kitchen. He'll get you servants' clothes and identification for the festival. Rook nodded at me. You'll be serving drinks during the feast. Keep your head down, don't make eye contact with leadership. I'll signal when the wine cellar entrance is clear. What about the vault? I asked. Thorne pulled out a small vial of clear liquid. Acid, specially formulated to eat through silver. We have a mole who can get this into the vault before the festival. It'll weaken the lock mechanism. You'll still need to force it, but it'll be possible. Who's your mole? Someone with access to the private wing. That's all you need to know. She studied me. Trust is earned in small steps, Cade. You've taken the first step by coming here. But if you betray us, if this is some elaborate trap to infiltrate and destroy the outcasts, I'll kill you slowly. Understood? Understood. Good. She rolled up the maps. You have 5 days until the Blood Moon Festival. You'll stay here, train with my fighters, learn the estate's layout until you can navigate it blind. Rook will teach you how to act like a servant. And you'll memorize every exit route, every guard position, every possible complication. She paused. And Cade? There's one more thing you should know. The magic that suppresses the Omega bonds, it doesn't just make them forget. It makes them bond with the Alpha King. In their minds, he's their mate. Their protector. Their world. My wolf howled in rage. That's not possible. The mate bond can be manipulated with the right magic and enough cruelty. I know because it happened to me. For 3 years, I believed Victor was my everything. When the magic broke, when I remembered the truth. She touched her scars. The psychological damage was worse than the physical. Some of the Omegas we've freed over the years never fully recovered. They were too broken. Sarah's strong. I hope you're right. Because you're going to need every ounce of that strength to survive what comes next. Thorne walked to the tent entrance, then looked back. Get some sleep, pack wolf. Tomorrow, your real training begins. And if the ancestors are merciful, in 5 days, you'll have your mate back. She left me alone with the maps and the terrible knowledge of what Sarah had endured. What she was still enduring. I traced the path from the wine cellar to the chambers, memorizing every turn. Then I studied the vault location, imagining a dozen different ways to breach it. Somewhere beneath the Silver Ridge estate, Sarah was alive. Trapped. Believing she belonged to the monster who'd stolen her from me. I had 5 days to become the kind of wolf who could infiltrate an Alpha King's fortress, fight through his guards, break ancient magic, and rescue 7 Omegas who'd been programmed to resist rescue. 5 days to do the impossible. I looked at my hands, scarred from climbing out my cabin window, still healing. Soon they'd have more scars. Maybe I wouldn't survive this. Maybe I'd die in those underground chambers, never making it out. But if I could give Sarah one chance at freedom, one moment where she remembered who she really was and who really loved her, it would be worth it. The Blood Moon Festival couldn't come fast enough. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 4. The servant's uniform itched. I tugged at the collar for the 100th time, and Rook slapped my hand away. Stop fidgeting. You look like you're wearing a disguise. He adjusted my jacket with practiced efficiency. Servants are invisible. Move with purpose but without urgency. Keep your eyes down. If someone addresses you, respond with, yes, Alpha, or, right away, Alpha. Nothing more. We stood in a service corridor beneath the estate, surrounded by the organized chaos of festival preparation. Servants rushed past carrying trays of food, bottles of wine, elaborate decorations. The air smelled of roasted meat, honey cakes, and anxiety. The feast starts in an hour, Rook continued. You'll be stationed in the East Gallery, serving drinks to minor pack members. That puts you close to the wine cellar entrance. When I give the signal, I'll drop a tray near the south door, you slip away. The guard rotation changes at midnight. You'll have a 10-minute window. And the vault? The acid worked. My contact says the lock is compromised. You'll still need this. He handed me a small crowbar, modified to fit under my jacket. And this. A vial of clear liquid. If things go wrong, break it near the guards. It's concentrated wolfsbane. Won't kill them, but they'll be too busy vomiting to stop you. I tucked both items into my inner pockets. What about Thorn? She's leading the primary assault team. They'll hit the main gates at 12:15, drawing security away from the private wing. You'll have maybe 20 minutes before the Alpha King realizes it's a diversion and redeploys his forces underground. 20 minutes to find 7 Omegas, break their magical bindings, and get them out. I didn't say it was a good plan. Rook's expression was grim. But it's the only plan we've got. Remember, once the magic breaks, the Omegas will be disoriented. Possibly violent. They'll have years of suppressed memories flooding back all at once. You'll need to move fast. A bell chimed above us, the first call to feast. Servants began streaming toward the main halls. That's us. Rook grabbed a tray of wine glasses. Stay close. Don't make me regret vouching for you. We joined the flow of servants, climbing stairs into the heart of the estate. I'd studied maps for 5 days, but nothing prepared me for the reality of the Alpha King's palace. Marble floors gleamed under crystal chandeliers. Tapestries depicting pack history covered the walls. The wealth on display could have fed a small pack for years. And beneath it all, 7 Omegas suffered in darkness. The East Gallery was already filling with pack members, warriors, merchants, craftsmen, families dressed in their finest. They laughed and talked, oblivious to the horror beneath their feet. Or maybe they knew and didn't care. I wasn't sure which was worse. I took my position along the wall, tray in hand, and became invisible. The hour crawled by. I served drinks, dodged grabbing hands, and kept my eyes on Rook. He moved through the crowd with easy grace, playing his role perfectly. When he dropped the tray, an apparent accident, wine spreading across the marble, I was already moving. The wine cellar entrance was tucked behind a false wall panel in the north corridor. I found it easily, years of studying maps paying off. 2 guards flanked the door, both armed with silver blades. I approached with my tray. The Alpha King requested his private reserve. The guards exchanged glances. We weren't informed. Last-minute request. You know how he gets during festivals. I kept my voice bored, annoyed. Just another servant dealing with difficult leadership. The larger guard frowned. Wait here. I'll verify. He reached for his radio. I moved fast, dropped the tray, smashed the wolf's bane veil at their feet. The concentrated herb hit them like a physical blow. They staggered, gagging, and I was past them and through the door before they could recover. The stairwell plunged into darkness. I descended 3 flights, my wolf vision cutting through the shadows. At the bottom, another door, this one unlocked, as Rook had promised. Beyond it, a corridor stretched into the earth, lit by weak electric lights. The chambers. I moved quickly now, checking each door. The first 3 rooms were empty, cells really, with bare mattresses and chains bolted to the walls. My wolf snarled at the smell of fear and despair soaked into the stones. The 4th door was locked. I used the crowbar, putting my full strength behind it. The compromised lock gave way with a screech of metal. Inside, an Omega huddled in the corner. Female, maybe 25, with dark hair and hollow eyes. She looked at me without recognition or hope. I'm here to help, I said softly. I'm getting you out. She didn't respond. Didn't move. Just stared with those dead eyes. I forced myself to move on. I'd come back for her. For all of them. But first, I needed to find Sarah. The 5th door. The 6th. Both held Omegas in similar conditions, alive but broken. My rage built with each discovery, but I pushed it down. Rage wouldn't help. Focus would. The 7th door sat at the corridor's end, slightly larger than the others. My heart hammered as I approached. Her scent hit me before I even touched the door, lavender and honey, mixed with something darker now. Pain. Captivity. Magic. The lock on this door was newer, stronger. I worked the crowbar for precious minutes, sweat dripping down my back. Finally, it gave. The room beyond was different from the others. Larger. A real bed instead of a mattress. Books on a shelf. A window, fake, painted with a view of mountains, on one wall. An attempt to make a prison feel like a home. And there, sitting on the bed, was Sarah. She looked up at the sound of the door opening. For one heartbreaking moment, I saw her, really her, in those green eyes. Then the emptiness returned. You're not supposed to be here. Her voice was soft, uncertain. Only the Alpha King is allowed in this room. I stepped inside, my throat tight. Sarah. It's me. It's Cade. She tilted her head, studying me like I was a puzzle. I don't know anyone named Cade. You should leave before the Alpha King finds you. He doesn't like strangers near his mates. His mates. The words hit like a physical blow. Sarah, listen to me. Your real name is Sarah Blackwood. You were born in Silver Ridge. You had a sister named Thea. You loved reading and gardening and, my voice cracked. And you're my mate. Mine. We were married 4 years ago. She stood, backing away. That's not true. I've always been here. I've always belonged to him. He chose me. He loves me. He's using magic on you. Dark magic. It's making you forget who you really are. I moved closer slowly, hands raised. Please, Sarah. Try to remember. Our cabin. The garden you planted. The night we met at the bonfire. You wore a blue dress and you smiled at me and the whole world stopped. Something flickered in her eyes. Pain. Confusion. Stop. You're confusing me. Making my head hurt. That's the magic fighting back. Because deep down, you know the truth. I was close enough now to touch her. I can break it. I can make you remember. But you have to trust me. I don't know you. She screamed it, backing against the wall. Guards. Someone help me. I had seconds before this entire plan collapsed. I did the only thing I could think of, the thing Thorne had mentioned in passing, the thing that might shock her system enough to break through the conditioning. I closed the distance between us and bit down on her shoulder, right where I'd marked her 4 years ago. Where my mate mark should have been but had faded under the suppression magic. Sarah screamed. The sound tore through me, but I held on, letting my wolf's essence flood into her. Remarking her. Reclaiming the bond that had been buried but never destroyed. Power exploded between us, our mate bonds snapping back into place with brutal force. I felt her pain, her confusion, her terror. And underneath it all, buried deep, I felt her. The real Sarah. Fighting her way back to the surface. She collapsed. I caught her, holding her as years of suppressed memories crashed through the magical barriers. She convulsed in my arms, crying out, her body fighting the two conflicting realities warring in her mind. That's it, I whispered. Come back to me. Come back. Her eyes opened, and this time, they were clear. Aware. She looked at me and I saw recognition bloom. Cade? Her voice was hoarse, broken. Cade, oh God, what did he do to me? I've got you. You're safe now. We're leaving. I can't remember, there's so much. She gripped my shirt, her whole body shaking. He told me I'd always been his. He made me believe, she gagged, horror washing over her face. What did I do? What did he make me do? Nothing that was your fault. None of this is your fault. I helped her stand. But we need to move. Now. Can you walk? She nodded, though her legs were unsteady. I supported her weight as we moved toward the door. We'd made it 3 steps into the corridor when the alarm started screaming. Red lights flashed. Metal doors slammed shut at both ends of the corridor, trapping us. And then I heard it, footsteps. Multiple guards, moving fast. Seal the chambers. The Alpha King's voice echoed through hidden speakers. The Beta has breached the Omega wing. I want him alive. The female too. Sarah went rigid. That voice. Oh God, that voice, she doubled over, vomiting. Her body's physical rejection of the mate bond it had been forced to accept. The guards poured in from both directions, at least a dozen, all armed. We were trapped in the middle of the corridor with nowhere to run. I pushed Sarah behind me. Stay back. No matter what happens, stay behind me. Cade, there are too many. I know. The guards advanced, weapons drawn. I prepared to shift, to fight until they cut me down. At least I'd die trying to save her. Then the explosion came. The ceiling at the north end collapsed in a shower of stone and dust. Through the hole dropped Thorne and 6 outcasts, all in fighting form. They hit the guards like a wave, teeth and claws tearing through armor. Move! Thorne shouted at me. We'll hold them off. I didn't hesitate. I grabbed Sarah and ran toward the south end where fewer guards blocked our path. I shifted partially, my wolf strength allowing me to smash through their line. Claws raked across my back, blades cut into my sides, but I kept moving. Behind us, the fight raged. I heard Thorne's war cry, the screams of wounded guards, the crash of more ceiling giving way. Rook's diversion was working, but barely. We reached the stairwell. I hauled Sarah up the stairs, her breath coming in ragged gasps. Almost there. Just a little further. The wine cellar door burst open above us. More guards poured down. We were caught between two forces, the corridor behind us full of fighting, the stairs ahead blocked. There. Sarah pointed to a side passage I'd missed, a maintenance tunnel, barely wide enough for a person. I used to hear the servants use it. It leads to the kitchen. We squeezed into the tunnel, crawling through darkness and rat droppings. Behind us, I heard guards trying to follow, too large for the narrow space. The tunnel opened into a storage room beneath the kitchens. We emerged covered in filth but alive. Above us, the festival continued, oblivious to the battle raging below. East exit, I gasped. Through the servants' quarters. We have to. The door exploded inward. The Alpha King stood in the opening, flanked by his elite guards. He was in full alpha form, 7 feet of muscle and fury, his eyes glowing gold, power radiating from him in waves. "Did you really think," he said softly, "that I wouldn't know every inch of my own estate? Every escape route? Every hidden passage?" He stepped into the room, and his guards fanned out behind him. 6 of them, all elite warriors. We had no chance. "Sarah." Marcus's voice changed, becoming almost gentle. "Come back to me. You're confused. The magic breaking, it's painful, I know. But we can fix it. We can make you comfortable again." Sarah's hand found mine, gripping tight. "Stay away from me. I've given you everything. Protection. Purpose. A child." The words hung in the air like poison. "What?" Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. Marcus smiled. "You didn't know? The magic suppresses many things, but not biology. You're carrying my heir, Sarah. 2 months along. That's why I chose you, your bloodline, your strength. Together, we're creating the future of our species." Sarah made a sound I never want to hear again, something between a scream and a sob. Her free hand went to her stomach, her face twisted in horror. "No. No, no, no. It's necessary," Marcus continued, his tone almost apologetic. "You think I enjoy this? The chambers? The magic? The pain I cause?" He gestured to his guards. "I'm trying to save us, Sarah. All of us. Werewolves are dying out. Our fertility rates have dropped 80% in the last century. An ancient curse is killing our species, making it nearly impossible to produce viable offspring." He moved closer, and I stepped between them, growling. "But Omega blood," Marcus said, ignoring me, "pure Omega blood, combined with alpha genes, that breaks the curse. That creates children who can carry on our legacy. I'm not a monster, Cade. I'm a king trying to save his people. By enslaving Omegas," I snarled. "By stealing their lives. By making the hard choices. The necessary choices." His eyes hardened. "Choices you'll never understand because you're not a leader. You're a soldier. A follower. You see the world in black and white, good and evil. But leadership requires seeing in shades of gray. There's no gray in rape and imprisonment. Isn't there?" Marcus's voice turned cold. "If 7 Omegas suffering in darkness means saving thousands of wolves from extinction, isn't that a trade worth making? If Sarah bearing 1 child means securing the future of our entire species, shouldn't she make that sacrifice?" "Not her choice to make," Sarah said. Her voice was steady now, though tears streamed down her face. "You didn't give me a choice. You took everything from me, my memories, my life, my body, and you call it sacrifice? You call it necessary?" "Yes." Marcus said it simply. "Because the alternative is extinction. In 50 years, there won't be any werewolves left. No packs. No traditions. No future. I'm willing to do terrible things to prevent that. Are you? He had an answer for everything. A justification. And the horrifying thing was, part of it made terrible sense. If the species was dying, if this was the only way. No. I stopped that thought cold. Evil was still evil, no matter how you dressed it up. Let us go, I said. Take your chances with the curse. But let her go. I can't do that. She carries my child. She's too valuable. He nodded to his guards. Take them both. Carefully. I don't want the female harmed. The guards advanced. I shifted fully, my wolf form barely fitting in the small space. I'd die here, but I'd take as many of them with me as possible. Then the windows exploded. Outcasts poured through the broken glass, 20 of them, including Thorn, bloodied but alive. They hit the elite guards from behind, evening the odds. Run! Thorn roared at me. We'll hold them. Get her out. I grabbed Sarah in my jaws as gently as possible and bolted. Through the chaos of fighting wolves, through the kitchen where servants screamed and scattered, through the halls where festival guests fled in panic. Behind me, I heard Marcus roar. Seal all exits. I want them found. But Rook was waiting at a servant's entrance, a horse already saddled. Go. North into the Deadlands. We'll cover your escape. I shifted back, got Sarah onto the horse, and climbed up behind her. The horse bolted into the night, leaving the estate and its horrors behind. We rode for hours, pushing the animal to its limits. When we finally stopped at a prearranged safe house, a cave Thorn scouts had prepared, Sarah collapsed into my arms. I'm pregnant, she whispered. With his child. Cade, I'm carrying his, she couldn't finish. She just cried, great heaving sobs that shook her entire frame. I held her, my heart breaking. We'd escaped. We were alive. We were together. But the nightmare wasn't over. It was just beginning. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 5. The cave smelled of damp earth and old smoke. I'd built a small fire near the entrance, just enough to take the edge off the cold. Sarah sat wrapped in blankets, staring into the flames with hollow eyes. She hadn't spoken in hours. 3 days since our escape. 3 days of hiding, moving from safe house to safe house, always one step ahead of the hunting parties I could hear baying in the distance. The Alpha King had mobilized half the pack to find us. You should eat something. I offered her dried meat and bread that Rook had packed. You need your strength. She took it mechanically, chewing without tasting. Her hand kept drifting to her stomach, then jerking away like she'd touched fire. I can feel it, she whispered finally. The pregnancy. It's like something foreign inside me. Something wrong. Sarah. Don't tell me it's not wrong. Don't tell me to see it as innocent. She looked at me, her eyes red-rimmed. Every time I close my eyes, I remember things. Fragments. Him touching me. Me responding because the magic made me believe I wanted it. I remember, her voice broke. I remember being grateful. Grateful he chose me. I moved to her side, wrapping my arms around her. She buried her face against my chest and cried. Not the hysterical sobs from before, but something quieter and more devastating. I keep thinking about what he said, she continued. About the curse. About the species dying. What if he's right? What if this pregnancy, this violation, is the only thing standing between werewolves and extinction? It doesn't matter if he's right. What he did to you was evil. I know. But evil that might save thousands. She pulled back, wiping her eyes. That's what I can't reconcile. How do you measure one person's suffering against a species' survival? You don't. Because the moment you start making that calculation, you stop being human. You become him. Before she could respond, a low whistle sounded from outside the cave. Our warning signal. I shifted partially, ready to fight, but then Rook's voice called out, "It's me. And I've got wounded." I helped him inside. He was supporting a female outcast I recognized, Ash, one of Thorn's lieutenants. She was bleeding from multiple wounds, her breathing shallow. What happened? I grabbed the medical supplies we'd stashed. Ambush, Rook gasped. They found our main camp. Hit us at dawn with 24 elite guards. Most of us scattered, but Thorn, he stopped, his expression grim. Is she alive? Captured. Along with 6 others. They're being held at the estate, awaiting trial for treason and terrorism. He met my eyes. The Alpha King is making an example of them. Public execution in 3 days at the next full moon. Sarah stood, the blanket falling from her shoulders. No. It gets worse. Ash spoke through gritted teeth as I bound her wounds. He's offering a deal. Turn over Sarah Blackwood and the beta traitor Cade, and he'll spare the outcasts. Refuse, and everyone dies. He's using them as bait, I said. To draw us out. Obviously. Rook slumped against the cave wall. But it's working. Half our people want to take the deal. They're scared. Thorn kept them together through force of will, but without her. He shook his head. The outcast alliance is falling apart. Sarah moved to the cave entrance, looking out at the darkening forest. This is my fault. All of this. If I'd just submitted, if I hadn't tried to escape. Don't you dare. I was beside her in 2 strides. None of this is your fault. You're the victim here. Am I? Or am I just one victim in a much larger tragedy? She turned to face me, and I saw something new in her expression. Resolution. Cade, I need to tell you something. Something I remembered. She took a deep breath. The night before my supposed death, Marcus came to see me in the chambers. I was planning to run, I'd been planning it for weeks. Somehow he knew. He sat down and asked me why I'd risk everything to escape. So I told him the truth, because I loved you. Because I'd rather die than betray our mate bond. Her hands trembled. And he said, that can be arranged. He said if I tried to leave, he'd have you executed for interfering with Alpha King's authority. He'd make it look like an accident, but you'd still be dead. Then he offered me a choice, accept my role as his chosen mate, or watch you die. I chose to accept. Sarah. But then I realized acceptance meant losing myself completely. Meant forgetting you. Becoming his in every way. So I made a different choice. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I attacked him. Fought with everything I had. I knew he'd kill me for it, but I thought, I hoped, that if I died resisting, you'd be safe. He'd have no reason to go after you. My death would end it. Instead he faked your death and kept you anyway. Because I was already pregnant. I must have conceived in those early weeks when the magic was still taking hold. When I attacked him, he had the pack doctor confirm it. That changed everything. He couldn't kill me, I was carrying his potential heir. So he staged my death, strengthened the suppression magic, and kept me locked away where no one would find me. She looked at Rook and Ash. He told me all of this 3 days ago, right before you broke through the door. He wanted me to understand that my sacrifice had been meaningless. That all my suffering had achieved nothing except giving him exactly what he wanted. The cave fell silent except for the crackling fire. I died once for you, Sarah said quietly. I threw my life away thinking it would save you. But it didn't. It just gave him more power over both of us. She straightened her shoulders. I won't make that mistake again. This time, I'll live for everyone else. What are you talking about? I'm going back. Absolutely not. Not as his prisoner. As a negotiator. Her eyes blazed with determination. He wants his heir. Fine. He wants to break the curse. I'll help him. But on my terms. He frees every Omega in those chambers. He abolishes the choosing tradition permanently. He makes it pack law that no Alpha King can ever force an Omega into service again. And in exchange, I'll work with him to find a real solution to the fertility curse. One that doesn't require slavery and rape. He'll never agree to that. He will if the alternative is watching his heir die. She placed her hand over her stomach. This child is the only leverage I have. The only thing he wants more than control. I'll use it. You're talking about negotiating with a monster. I'm talking about ending this cycle of abuse before it claims any more victims. Her voice echoed off the cave walls. How many more Omegas, Cade? How many more families destroyed? How many more mates torn apart? It has to stop. And I'm the only one who can stop it. Rook leaned forward. Even if he agrees to your terms, he'll demand something in return. Probably your freedom. Possibly your life. Then that's the price I'll pay. No. I grabbed her shoulders. I just got you back. I'm not losing you again. You already lost me. She said it gently, touching my face. The moment he put his hands on me, the moment he planted his child in my body, I was lost. We can't go back to what we were, Cade. That life, that future, it died 3 months ago. All we can do now is make sure something good comes from all this pain. There has to be another way. There isn't. You know there isn't. She kissed me softly. This is my choice. Not his. Not yours. Mine. And I need you to let me make it. I wanted to argue. Wanted to lock her in this cave and fight the whole pack myself if necessary. But I saw the truth in her eyes, she'd already made her decision. Nothing I said would change it. Then I'm coming with you. No. You're too valuable as a bargaining chip. If he has both of us, we have no leverage. I'm not letting you walk into that estate alone. She won't be alone. Ash struggled to sit up. I'll go with her. As a witness. To make sure he honors whatever agreement they reach. You can barely walk. I'll manage. She looked at Sarah with something like respect. Besides, I owe Thorn. If this works, if it saves her and the others, it's worth the risk. Sarah nodded. We leave at dawn. Rook, I'll need you to arrange a meeting with the Alpha King. Under truce terms. Neutral ground. He won't agree to neutral ground. You'll have to go to him. Then that's what I'll do. The rest of the night passed in tense preparation. Rook sent messages through his network, negotiating terms. The Alpha King's response came just before dawn. He'd meet with Sarah, but only in his private chambers. Only with Ash as witness. And Cade was to stay away or the deal was off. He knows I'm the wild card, I said bitterly. Knows I'll fight if I'm there. Which is why you're staying here. Sarah dressed in clean clothes Rook had brought, simple but dignified. She looked like herself again, despite everything. Strong. Beautiful. Terrifying in her resolve. She came to me as the sun rose. Whatever happens, know that I love you. That I've always loved you. The magic couldn't touch that, couldn't erase it. Even when I didn't remember your name, some part of me knew. Sarah. Let me finish. If this goes wrong, if he betrays the agreement, promise me you'll take care of Thorn. Promise me you'll make sure the other Omegas get free. Don't let my sacrifice be for nothing. Don't talk like you're not coming back. I might not be. We both know that. She kissed me one last time, pouring everything into it, love, grief, goodbye. But if I don't, promise me you'll keep fighting. Not for revenge. For change. For a world where no one else has to suffer like we did. I promise. She left with Ash and Rook, disappearing into the morning mist. I watched until I couldn't see them anymore, my wolf howling inside my chest. The hours crawled by. I paced the cave, imagining 100 different scenarios. Each one ended in blood. When Rook finally returned, he was alone. My heart stopped. She's alive, he said quickly. But you need to come. Now. It's complicated. We ran through the forest, avoiding pack patrols. Rook brought me to a clearing on neutral ground between outcast and pack territory. Sarah stood in the center, flanked by the Alpha King's guards. Ash was with her, looking shaken. The Alpha King stood apart, arms crossed. When he saw me, he smiled. Beta Cade. How good of you to join us. Your mate has just made me a very interesting offer. Where's Thorn? Where are the outcasts? Being released as we speak. Part of our agreement. He gestured to Sarah. Your mate drives a hard bargain. I've agreed to free all the Omegas currently in my custody. To abolish the choosing tradition. To establish new pack laws protecting Omega autonomy. His smile turned sharp. In exchange, she's agreed to help me break the fertility curse. A genuine partnership, based on voluntary cooperation. It sounded too good to be true. What's the catch? The catch is treason charges. Marcus's expression hardened. You assaulted an Alpha King. Freed his prisoners. Caused untold damage and chaos. Those crimes require punishment. I accept exile, I said immediately. Permanent banishment from Silver Ridge. That's the usual sentence for. Exile isn't sufficient. Not for crimes of this magnitude. He looked at Sarah. Tell him. Sarah's face was pale but calm. The curse can only be broken through sacrifice. Ancient magic demands ancient payment. A life given freely, offered in love, to restore what was lost. My blood went cold. No. Whatever you agreed to. I offered myself, she said simply. My life, my blood, my essence, channeled through Omega magic to restore fertility pack-wide. The Alpha King scholars confirmed it would work. One death to save thousands of future lives. Sarah, no. It's already done, Cade. She swayed slightly, and I saw it then, the strange luminescence under her skin. The magic already taking hold. The ritual began when I made the offer. It can't be stopped now. I lunged forward. The guards drew weapons, but Marcus raised his hand. Let him say goodbye. It's the least we can do. I reached her, catching her as her legs gave out. Her skin was burning hot, the magic consuming her from the inside out. You can't, I choked out. Please, there has to be another way. There isn't. And I made my peace with it. She touched my face. I died once in fear and pain and darkness. This time, I die with purpose. With choice. That means everything. I can't lose you again. I can't. You won't. Not completely. She took my hand and placed it on her stomach. The child. Cade, the child survives. The magic protects it, Alpha and Omega blood combined. The scholars say it will be the most powerful wolf ever born. A bridge between the bloodlines. I don't care about the child. I care about you. I know. But I care about both. And I need you to promise me something. Her breath came in gasps now, the magic accelerating. Raise this child. Not as Marcus's heir. Not as a weapon. But as a person. Teach them about choices. About sacrifice that comes from love, not compulsion. Promise me. Sarah. Promise me, Cade. Please. The light under her skin grew brighter. I felt our mate bond flaring, burning with impossible intensity. Through it, I felt her love, her pain, her absolute certainty that this was right. I promise, I whispered. She smiled. Thank you. The magic erupted. Light poured from her body, spreading across the clearing, into the forest, racing across pack lands in waves. I felt it wash over me, ancient power, Omega essence, the pure force of sacrifice freely given. And through the bond, I felt every Omega in the territory respond. Felt their magic awaken, strengthened. Felt the curse that had been choking werewolf fertility for a century break like chains. Sarah collapsed in my arms. The light faded from her skin, leaving her pale and still. Her eyes found mine one last time. Take care of them, she breathed. All of them. The Omegas. The child. The future. Her hand squeezed mine weakly. I love you. Always. I love you. Sarah, please. But she was gone. I felt the mate bond shatter for the second time, real this time, final. The pain was so intense I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't exist. I howled. My wolf poured out grief and rage that shook the trees. I held her body and screamed at the sky, at the gods, at the cruel mathematics that said one life for thousands was acceptable. Strong hands pulled me away. The Alpha King knelt beside Sarah, his hand on her still warm body. For just a moment, his mask cracked. I saw genuine grief cross his face. She was magnificent, he said quietly. Stronger than I ever was. Braver. He stood, his composure returning. The curse is broken. Already I can feel it, the pack's fertility returning. She did it. She saved us all. She shouldn't have had to. My voice was raw. None of this should have happened. No. It shouldn't have. He faced me. Beta Cade. Your mate extracted one more concession from me. For you. I don't want. The child. When it's born, you'll be named its guardian. Not me. I'll acknowledge paternity, provide for its needs, but you'll raise it. Shape it. Love it. His jaw tightened. She said you'd do a better job than I could. That you'd remember what I'd forgotten, that power means nothing without compassion. He turned to his guards. The charges against Cade Blackwood are dropped. He's free to go, with my protection. Any wolf who touches him answers to me. He looked back. It's what she wanted. What she demanded in exchange for her sacrifice. I stared at Sarah's body, my beautiful mate who'd died twice for causes she believed in. Who'd given everything to break a cycle of abuse. I'll take the child, I said. But not for you. For her. Because she asked me to. That's all I can ask. Marcus lifted Sarah gently. I'll prepare her body for a proper funeral. Full honors. A hero of the pack. She was never your hero. She was your victim who found a way to make her suffering mean something. He didn't argue. Maybe he couldn't. They took her away. I stood alone in the clearing as the sun rose higher, feeling the pack-wide surge of restored fertility. Feeling wolves everywhere rejoice at what they'd regained, most of them never knowing the price. Ash appeared at my side. Thorns free. The other Omegas too. They're being checked by physicians, given care, offered counseling. She paused. Sarah made sure. Every detail. She thought of everything. She always did. The outcasts, those who remain, they want to honor her. Build a memorial. Make sure what she did isn't forgotten. I nodded, unable to speak. What will you do? Ash asked. When the child comes? What she asked. Raise it. Protect it. Make sure it knows who its birth mother really was, not the Alpha King's chosen mate, but a fierce, brave woman who chose sacrifice over submission. I looked at my hands, still stained with her blood. And then I'll make sure what happened to her never happens to anyone else. The Alpha King agreed to abolish the tradition, but I'll make sure he keeps that promise. I'll work with Thorn, with the freed Omegas, with anyone who'll listen. We'll build something better from these ashes. She'd like that. I know. I stayed in that clearing long after Ash left, watching the forest come alive with morning. Birds sang. Deer grazed. Life continued, oblivious to the fact that my world had ended. But Sarah's hadn't. Not completely. She lived on in the restored fertility spreading through the packs. In the Omegas walking free. In the child growing in a healer's care, waiting to be born. And she lived in me. In the promise I'd made. In the future I'd build in her honor. I pressed my hand to my chest, where the mate bond used to pulse. It was gone now, severed completely. But I could still feel her, in memory, in purpose, in the absolute certainty that she'd want me to keep fighting. So I would. For her. For the child. For every Omega who'd suffered in those chambers. I'd raise the most powerful wolf ever born to be something their father could never be, good. And I'd make sure Sarah Blackwood's name was remembered not as a victim, but as the woman who changed everything. Even if it killed her. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, like and share this video to continue listening to this type of story daily and also, to appreciate this community too. I would like to hear your wonderful opinion about this story. Please comment below.